All right, cyber traders, welcome on back here this Wednesday, September 8th, shortly after 2:30 p.m. Eastern time. And of course, at this time of the day, as always, welcome on back here for our afternoon meeting. Great to see all of our students and trial members alike, including I see Felix. I got a question from David J, which I'll get to in just a moment. Who else we got here today? Kind of a slow afternoon, not a whole lot of us here with us right now. I know a lot of us will be joining us coming up across the next hour and a half here. I know that Norman, Patrick's still with us here so far. I got Skip, Debbie. All right, perfect. And alongside them, hey, if you're joining us today on social media, Facebook Live or YouTube, as always, welcome on back. And I shouldn't always say as always, because we always have new members joining us here, perhaps for the first time. So perhaps if so, welcome on aboard. Now, without further ado, the EFTR trade, easily enough, we'll start off with. It's the top percent gainer. You know, it's one of the crazy high flyers out there that we've called out across the last couple of days. You know, we don't need to trade this stock in order to make our days pay. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's fun. It's interesting, but it's a huge risk, right? So, you know, obviously the stock had made a really big move already today from low of the day, right around like what, 12 bucks, ran all the way up to 40 plus, and then, you know, pulled back here a bit. Hey, listen, I'll say this, you know, like I say to a lot of the other high flyer stocks out there, if you want to gamble, then rather make an educated decision, then this would be the stock for you to do that on, right? So at your discretion. I don't mind even putting it on the main list, but you know who you are if you're looking to really trade this stock on a serious number of shares. You know, hey, if you're trying to play around, do 50 shares, 100, and you know it's not going to break the bank if you take a bad trade, all right, that's fine. That's totally fine. But, you know, here coming up, you know, across the next hour and a half, the next 90 minutes, really at least, this is the best chance, aside from the market open, for us to really make serious money. So, you know, this isn't necessarily the time that we should be trying to play around. If you are, then again, this would be the stock for you. But aside from this EFTR, we got a lot to talk about because we did have a pretty good morning today, all of us together here inside the Cyber Group room. And of course, today being Wednesday, I got to make sure I got enough time to talk about crypto, a lot to talk about with crypto, that is. So what we'll do is go from top to bottom, really just rip it right from the top of the gainers list. If there was anything that we ended up trading from the morning across this side, then we'll recap things very briefly. The KNDM trade, or KDMN, tongue twister, but we did not trade this stock, right? I told you folks, if you're in the business of watching the grass grow today, and you know, I don't mean to sound like a jerk when I say it that way, but opportunity cost, right? If you went against me and said, all right, you know what, hey, I'm going to try and trade this. This looks interesting. You were just kind of, you know, counting the sheep in the sky, so to say. You were watching the grass grow, watching the paint dry. The stock wasn't getting you anywhere, right? Ended up just flattening out. So, you know, a little lesson to be learned there at least. But yeah, for right now, we'll keep it moving. Got warrants, I guess, on the EFTR trade. We're not going to really look at the warrants. It's not really trading a whole lot of volume right now across the day. This one too expensive. I should have known that before even clicking on it, but up 26+% ICUI. Interesting, but obviously flat now. And like I said, just way out of our price range here. But ATER, right? ATER easily enough. We'll begin by putting this on the main list, right? Also a stock that we're pretty familiar with here too across the last few days, across the most recent trading days dating back to yesterday, dating back to Friday last week, and really the days before that. So stock ended up making a big pop going back into the end of August, likely on Tuesday. Oh no, dating back to Friday the 27th even, but popped from 413 all the way up to a high of the day at the time, 672. Obviously, it popped up a little bit more since and pushing up here now. So yeah, we're going to put this on our list. It looks like it already false broke over 9 just earlier. So hey, that's actually a good sign, right? Because it goes to show, A, 9's a really strong level. You happen to see a really big volume spike upon the level break. So simply put, we had a lot of buying off of that level already. The more that we see that, then the more I'd be led to believe that it will run up much higher, perhaps up to the next whole number level at 10. So yeah, this was a nice trade from earlier today. You can see it ended up beginning to pop as soon as the market opened up. Long story short, no pun intended there, this stock ended up holding support pretty nicely off the 750. You know, broke below it initially, but once it broke back through that level, on the way up, as I always like to say, you know, that's where it really made that slingshot. So just keep that in mind. All right, so discretion here. GSAT, I am currently in long. I am long currently from 242, not on a crazy amount of shares. I actually jumped in right before I ended up leaving the office for the day, moved back to my home office here to finish up my day. So I ended up jumping in, and granted, I normally don't do that and just step away from my desk. Granted, I had my stop set at least, but I came back to my desk. Thankfully, the stock was up to 250, 249, and that gives me more confidence that I can make another run up higher into the close. Right now, it's just like too slow, though, for the meantime. It's very choppy around the 250 level still. So really, before I put the stock on the watch list, even though I'm in it, I got to see a lot more buying coming in off the 250. And that's for me to even think that this stock's going to go up, not just for me to put it on the list for you, right? So, I might just jump ship and jump out of this trade by the end of this meeting if we don't get that pop, and perhaps reposition myself for another entry later on. That's all. But yeah, for right now, we'll kind of come back to this at the end. A little too slow right now for my blood. All right, see what else we got. A couple of other stocks more within our price range, at least. CADL, $11.86, just going nowhere. ARQQ, I saw this early in pre-market. I really didn't, put it on our watch list or anything, but looks like the stock ended up making a bit of a move from the after hours yesterday and then into the open this morning. Popped from right around, was that 13, even $12 perhaps, all the way up to near 20. So definitely a high flyer, and you could say that even today. But look what happened to this stock back yesterday. I don't even think we really traded the stock yesterday. I don't remember it popping yesterday, but hell, the stock went from 888, practically $9, all the way up to a high of 26. It probably was a very low volume run up, and then from there it crashed, and we saw a lot more volume get traded. That would be my guess. Looks like it got halted, and then when it reopened up from the halt, it was halted for like 2.5 hours. Dropped back down instantly. So even worse, it didn't even run up off of low volume. Thing got halted, reopened up off a big gap, and then just filled it on the way down. So, it's only making that same move here again today. I don't know. I wouldn't really be too interested in the stock going forward. It's got to prove itself to us in order for us to, really follow it further. All right. I don't know. Did BLUW jump up here? Perhaps. Yeah, Blue Water. I don't know. New ticker, I reckon, but ended up making this big pop up in the pre-market. Looks like back in late August. Popped up to a high of over 30, of course. Then dropped all the way back down after and closed at the low. So much like that ARQQ, this thing's been through the spin cycle also. Obviously today making a much better run up, more so from 12 p.m. Eastern time, where it popped from like $8, ran up towards over 9, practically topped off at 950, then ended up breaking out higher a bit later on. So, hey, very volatile stock and volume filled as well. So I don't know. Maybe I'll come back to this stock if I feel a need to. For the most part, I feel like this trade could be over with across the day. I'll check back in with it at a minimum, at least come tomorrow morning. I want to put this stock on my side list at least, All right, so that brings me to BBIG. And again, full discretion, I always say it whenever I'm in a trade, I am in BBIG right now. I'm in from 11.14. Now, the reason I'm in from 11.14, we talked about it really from earlier, and hopefully my platform doesn't freeze up here, but 11.12 was the opening bell print today. And for any of my students I was in coaching with today, I was really harping it on with you folks, just talking about the 544,000 share print that got filled at the market open. So you would think that a whole number level, like 10, like 11, like 12, those would be the stronger levels to watch out for. And don't get me wrong, those are really strong levels. But in the grand scheme of things, what's a stronger level? A 200,000 share iceberg order or a 544,000 share transaction? Just think of the number, right? So you would say, well, the bigger number. Well, this ended up providing as an incredible entry level heading into like the late morning. It had a really hard time with 11, but once it broke out from the opening print, $11.12, that was it. So that was my money maker across the day, the BBIG trade. I got in from earlier on in the morning at first, but I was pretty choppy up and down. I was profitable, but then I started to lose a couple of trades in a row, and then I focused on the opening print. So really, I got fortunate with the timing. As soon as it popped 11.12 right here, I got filled. Very simple trade. There was a chance where I may not have been filled, actually, just based on the volatility of the pop. So I'm very fortunate to say I got in and obviously paid off. Now, right now at this point, well, I took the same trade here. It broke over 11.12. It started to shimmy around it as support. So I jumped in right here. That's where I got filled, where my cursor is. Now, I'm not out of the doghouse yet on the stock. I mean, as I continue to go through this meeting here, this might just slam down. It popped up to a high of 11.45-ish and pulled back. So listen, I got my stop set here at this point, and it's now below 11.12. If this slams below 11.12 as I'm talking, I'm going to get stopped out. So I just want to let you folks know that. Now, compared to the GSAT stock, which I'm also in, this one is a lot more volatile. And with it breaking all-time highs this morning, I'm certainly hopeful for the stock to run up. Obviously, that's why I'm in it. But I feel like there could be more opportunity on a stock like this so far. So I'll be more keen to put it on the main list here, the BBIG trade. All right, so we keep it going now. See what else we got. Definitely a decent list so far, and perhaps we add GSAT at the end. CLEU, though, not really doing too much here. Looks like it's trending up, but popped after the market opened up, dumped right back down, and since has been doing really nothing. Oh, man, not much else on the gainer side here that I see. Maybe this one here I saw Rich call out, WKEY. Stock ended up making a really nice run for us earlier today. I know that Rich was calling that out, like I'd said, off of 8, popped up to a high at the time, practically 850, 849 the high. Right now it's pushing back up, but I'll pass on this trade for the meantime. If it ends up showing a lot more signs of life once we finish this meeting, then we'll focus on it more. The stock is a familiar name to a few of us live inside the trading room, at least. Going back into March time, April time here, ended up making this giant run up for us there, and then really across the last 2 weeks, on and off, more off really, but we've called it out on occasion here. So we're pretty familiar with the trade. Just right now, it has very thin tiers on level 2, smaller orders on level 3. Although it's pushing up right now, I just want to see a little bit more out of it. All right, I did not really fill up for water here, so I'll try and go through this meeting rather fast now. But AEI, last one here before we hop over to the losers list. Not a whole lot happening right now. Stock was on the pre-market list. It was on the morning watch list. We were very hopeful to see this stock run up afterwards, but obviously not the case. It popped up here a little bit off of like 255-ish, but very short-lived bounce. Came right back down and maintained this trend off the highs for the most part. All right, so we'll keep it going to the loser side here. OSG down big. It is shortable, but not really showing much signs of life here, so we'll pass. ALEC, same thing. PXLW, familiar name really across the last 2 weeks, right? I mean, if you've been following us on social media, obviously, if you've been in the room across the last 2 weeks, we've been calling the stock out very frequently off the breakout from 4 heading into the middle of August. And then really from that point in time, practically day over day, it was pushing up nicely. So, it's to say that A, we are pretty familiar with this stock. B, it has a lot thicker tiers on level 2, meaning larger orders altogether, more ECNs and exchanges near the top of the program to trade, and with that, it makes it more tradable. At the same time as I say that, do I feel an utter need to put this stock on our watch list right now? I don't know. If you did really well on this stock across the last 2 weeks, then you know who you are, and then maybe at that point you put more of a spotlight on it. Let me just check out the other stocks here, like Clove first. Clover Health stock from yesterday ended up making a big run up, ended up pulling back down. How about this? And I'm just noticing this right now for the first time, folks. I'm very just being transparent and truthful with this. But there's a reason I have a line at $9.20. I did not realize until this very moment that $9.20 was the low of the day today. Folks, we talked about this yesterday, 24 hours ago. Actually, in Traders Talk, a little bit more than 24 hours ago, mind you. But yesterday, in our weekly Q&A workshop inside the Cyber Group room, we talked about the 920 level, how in pre-market yesterday, there was a massive iceberg order out there, and it got filled as soon as the market opened up. Well, it took a shimmy, but the stock ended up essentially running right off the 920 level. Goes to show strong resistance creates a strong support. So pretty funny how that works out, right? Now, for the meantime, here across the afternoon, the stock's doing jack. It's not doing anything right now. So, listen, I like this stock. I like trading this stock, and I do well on it more often than not. But, yeah, for right now, not a whole lot happening here. Got you, same deal. Got a bunch of stocks, at least, that are shortable. Just checking them out briefly. Cannon dropping, and I guess that leads me to Bitcoin, huh? All right, so folks, if there's anything else that ends up making a big move up, down, left, right that you would want me to check out, type it in the chat board, folks. Just let me know. All right, so actually, as you do that, and as I prep to talk about crypto here, just allow me to do one thing briefly. I don't like to show my full account numbers and all of this, but I'll just talk to you about something here very briefly. So, number one, let's bring up the Bitcoin chart. Cannon right now, as we continue on the losers list, it's at the low of the day, so that caught my interest. And this stock is a Bitcoin mining related stock, so that's going to segue me to Bitcoin. But as far as this trade, it's too slow right now. I mean, it looks like a lot of selling coming in off of 850, and with it being shortable, that is a setup. But I don't know. I'm not as particular about this Cannon trade for this afternoon. So with that brings me to Bitcoin. I told you so. I told you so. Now, what I mean by that is we knew that a drop would be coming at some point in time. And I've been saying it really for the last few weeks. I've been warning us of an eventual drop as this kept pushing up towards 49,000, 50,000, the historical levels I was tracing from the weekly chart. And we've been talking about this for the last several weeks, really, right? So it held off 50,000 for the most part. Looks like it broke over 50,000 here heading into the end of last week. It was pushing up as high as 52, near 53. Now, with that, we ended up seeing a bit of a drop off. I don't really think there was much news that came out, really any particular FUD that came out, fear or, any uncertainty that could lead to people massively selling. If you folks know of anything big, let me know. I didn't really see any big headlines. I think the only big thing, and it's a good thing, I think that the country of El Salvador is making Bitcoin, or they already have made Bitcoin legal tender there. So that's good news. Now, I bring this up because, well, we got our drop. And I told you folks across the last couple of weeks that if we do have a drop, when we do have a drop, that I was looking at around 44,000, 45,000 as my support level, my line of thinking. And it's a very simple line of thinking, perhaps. But I have a line here practically at 39,000. I have a line here at 49,000 and obviously 50K too. We're always thinking 50K is a major psychological level, like 10K was, like 100K will be. But historically, I was telling you, 49 was pretty damn strong too. So, hey, what's the average between 49 and 39,000? 44. Now, that's my very simple, like pea-brain, reasoning as to why I thought of that as support. Well, it broke much lower than 44,000, heading into yesterday morning. It dropped down to actually a low here on my 6-hour chart of 42,843, right? Well, I told you folks that I was done accumulating. And for the most part, I am. But I got it this morning. And actually, the number here, it actually doesn't even show the damn real number in terms of price per dollar here. But I ended up getting filled on Bitcoin. I put 1,000 in, pay the Coinbase fees and whatnot. It ended up being $985. But my entry on this trade, I jumped in. It was right under 45,000. If I'm not mistaken, I got filled right around 44,700 some odd. So I'm just telling you, folks, what I did. That kind of coincides pretty nicely with my 200 EMA on the 6-hour chart. So that also is pretty nice to see. Hey, so from this point, let's get a nice spike back up. That's all I'll say, right? And I'll tell you, that's pretty much it from my end in terms of crypto. I could bring up this one page here really briefly, but it'll just show the basics of there hasn't really been a whole lot of big change within interest of long or short activity. Perhaps a small drop off here on the long activity, and this is traced across the Bitfinex exchange. But telling tale here is that there's no real spike in short interest here on Bitcoin. So yeah, we may have had some people sell in a very tiny amount in the grand scheme, but no one's really trying to short Bitcoin right now. Goes to show. All right, so folks, that's just about it from me. Got ATER tearing, popping, says David and Scott, and I was late to that as I was, beginning my discussion on Bitcoin, mind you. But obviously ATER already on our list. It was the top stock I put on the watch list, and with good reason, I guess, right? Broke out over 9 and pushed up really nicely from that point. All right, so folks, hey, how about this? Let me know if there's anything else up, down, left, right, more than 5% that you would want me to check out. Look out here briefly before we wrap up. I'm going to check in with YouTube first because I ended up missing a bunch of chat from a moment ago. From one of our new members here, just asking if this is Fausto speaking. So probably just one of our new attendees here. This is not Fausto. Fausto will be back in tomorrow, but Fausto always does the morning meetings. My name is Josh Levitan. I'm our senior instructor here at Cyber Trading University. So if you have any questions, and I normally say this part at the end, but any questions that you have, especially as a first-time attendee in our meetings here, send over a quick question right to my email address. I always write that here at the end of the meeting, josh@ctutrading.com. All right, so aside from that, we got a couple of chats from Daniel talking about BTBT. Nothing going on here at BTBT today, unfortunately. Rhymes with BTBT. How about DTST? From Mitch. Nice to have you back, Mitch. Pushing up pretty nicely here, up over 19%, obviously at the highs right now, and breaking above yesterday's high. So, yeah, great call. I mean, I don't know if this was pushing on up as we were going from top to bottom, but either way, yeah, this one looks pretty interesting. I like this. And then Daniel also says A and Y. Yeah, A and Y, definitely. So this is a no-brainer right now for the A and Y trade. It held right over 688, which was a really strong level that I drew on my chart from the last couple of days there, and just pushing up really nicely right now. So yeah, definitely the A and Y. Watch out for resistance. There's a 35,000 share iceberg on the ask sitting at 715. There's another slightly bigger order there at 720. Oh, Jim says to follow up on the El Salvador thing with Bitcoin. They say the El Salvador people are protesting. They don't like it. Yeah, but I'm not going to go into the details of that as much, but I thought that some people were protesting that upon the initial rumor like 2 months ago. So, obviously with it becoming official now, you're going to see more people protest perhaps, but I don't think it's going to do them too much. I don't think they're going to go too far with the protest there. It's like protesting the internet. A and Y approaching high of the day, definitely. So that's already on the list. I feel like we're good to go, folks. I don't think there's any other stocks that we had missed out on otherwise. What do I think of the EFTR joining us late from Tyler? Yeah, so EFTR is a gamble. There is no other word to describe it other than that. So listen, if you want to gamble today, this is the stock to do it on. If you want to make a highly educated decision based off of volume, then I would say that ANY or ATER or BBIG or that DTST trade even will make it a lot easier in order for you to read the volume in order to make a highly educated decision. All right, so that's my thoughts there. It's on our list for right now. Hey, if you're a very skilled day trader, if you made money on the EFTR trade earlier today, and if you feel you know what you're doing, hey, your discretion, go right at it. But hey, if you even feel the slightest uncomfortable on that trade, why waste time on that when you would have a much better ability trading something you feel a lot more comfortable on, right? All right, so folks, I think that just about wraps it up all in all. 5 stocks to work with so far, and maybe 6 if we jump back to GSAT here. 6, I like this. So I'm still in on the GSAT trade. Finally broke over the 550 or the 250 level again, I should say. Not as big of a volume spike as we had from before, but you know what? It's pushing up really nicely here. So I'm still in this trade right now, and we're going to put this on the main list here at this point. So that makes it 6 in total, folks, to work with heading into the market close. Outside of this meeting, for all of us live inside the trading room, if there's anything else that ends up making a big move, obviously we'll try and call it out, work together as a team, and see if we can capitalize on it. All right. For all of us otherwise on the YouTube and Facebook live streams, I appreciate you sticking with me each and every day. As far as the mornings go, you'll get Fausto back come tomorrow morning, back in his usual seat. And aside from that, for all of us live inside the trading room, I'll talk to you folks coming up pretty shortly from now. Take care.